Today the topic is visualizing the true you. And this is a follow-up on what was recently taught about expectation. And this is the next step, the next level on how we can get the things that God promised us. So now it's visualizing the true you. Visualizing is something that we do that will help us maintain that expectation. See, what I'm about to share has always worked, will always work, and is at work right now in your lives. I'm talking about the art, the science, or should I call it the law of visualization. It's been said a million times in a million different ways that we get what we expect. How much do we expect out of life? That's what you get. That's your portion. But that's not necessarily what God wanted for us. Quote, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." Joseph Campbell. Every person on earth utilizes the gravitational power of visualization. Sometimes positively, other times negatively. It's always our choice. In that God has promised to supply all our need, promised to heal and prosper us, promised to give us superabundance above our wildest dreams. It's our job to visualize that promise with all expectation. Now, the lead-up questions to maintaining a vivid visualization is, do I really believe the promises of God? Step one. Next, what should I expect from God, and what should I expect out of myself? That's the next step. And then now, how do I maintain that expectation long enough for it to become tangible? And herein lies the rub. And this is where most people fall down because they can't maintain that. But the successful ones always do. They all do. This third step is vision maintenance or visualization. It's maintaining it day after day after day after day after day, no matter what's going on around us, in our country, in our families, in our lives. We maintain the vision of what we want. And if that ties in, if it connects with what God wants for us, it's a no-brainer. It's a done deal. Quote, "Visualization is daydreaming with a purpose." Bo Bennett. See, Jesus fully embraced this miraculously magnetic power of advanced and sustained visualization. To see it is to be it. And Mark 11:22 through 24, I'm going to read it from the Message. Jesus was matter of fact. Embrace this God life. Really embrace it. And nothing will be too much for you. This mountain, for instance, just say, go jump in the lake. No shuffling or shilly-shallying. And it's as good as done. That's why I urge you to pray for absolutely everything, ranging from small to large. Include everything as you embrace this God life, and you'll get God's everything. In that we do believe and do expect that God already supplied all our need, now we need to maintain that vision long enough to reap the miraculous results. A lot of us have a desire to do something, and then we'll revert right back to the old way of thinking. And then a few weeks later or years later, all of a sudden, yeah, I do want to do that. And then we revert right back. And the key is just staying focused on what is real and true and right and light and loving. Clearly visualize the miraculous. Clearly visualize the new you, the true you. See, the art of visualization is universal. And it works for anyone and everyone and everyone who puts out enough energy to maintain and achieve that focus. Now, this is far more than just picturing something in your mind. This is picturing something in your mind, never letting it go, and doing everything in your power to go make it happen. That's when I speak of visualization. It is the hardest thing you'll ever have to do because it's all day long. Every time you wake up at night, it's everything. It works for anyone and everyone. See, the term visualization is not a new or a modern term. It's been in use since the 1800s. But people understood what it meant many thousands of years before that. And mankind has advanced only because someone was able to visualize a greater life, abundant wealth, better health, a better country, a better tool, a better story, or an excellent adventure. Whatever it is, it only happened because somebody saw something more than they had. And in the preface of his 1910 book, The Science of Getting Rich, by Wallace Wattles, he states, quote, "This book is pragmatical, not philosophical, a practical manual, not a treatise upon theories. It is intended for the men and women whose most pressing need is for money, who wish to get rich first and philosophize afterwards. It is for those who want results. Every man or woman who does this will certainly get rich, for the science herein is applied is an exact science, and failure is impossible." That's what Wallace Wattles wrote in 1910. Failure is impossible. Now, is that the mindset we're talking about? Failure is impossible. Anything less, and we're going to get lesser results. This law or art of expected visualization has been around a long time. And it'll work for us just as well as it worked for every movie star, every successful business person, every elite athlete. Visualization has started countries, blossomed small businesses into corporations. Visualization has helped change a hollow life into one that's filled with amazement. What you see is what you get. What you consistently see is what you consistently get. If we're not getting what we really think we deserve, then we need to change that first level of expectation stretched out, which is visualization. Now, visualization in the modern media, I was thinking about most celebrities have said that creative visualization has played a major role in their success. Like a broke Jim Carrey once wrote himself a $10 million check and dated it 8 years in the future. And he actually reached his goal in 7 years. When he did that movie Dumb and Dumber, he got a $10 million paycheck. And he said, quote, "I would visualize things coming to me. It would just make me feel better. Visualization works if you work hard. That's the thing. You can't just visualize and go eat a sandwich." End of quote. Arnold Schwarzenegger visualized himself as a successful actor, bodybuilder, and earning big money. And he said, quote, "Create a vision of what you want to be, and then live into that picture as if it were already true." End of quote. Live into that picture as if it were already true. All these people understand what some call the law of believing. Visualization is just a part of that. It works. Here's another one. Michael Jordan, quote, "I visualized where I wanted to be, what kind of player I wanted to become. I knew exactly where I wanted to go, and I focused on getting there." Did he? Yeah. Tyler Perry, and a movie maker. He said he obtained his success because he wouldn't stop believing. Is there always somebody out there to try to get you to stop?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's always there.
Always.
Yeah. Here's one, Lady Gaga. I had this dream, and I really wanted to be a star, and I was almost a monster in the way I was really fearless with my ambitions. You know, fearless with their ambitions. I like that. Just fearless. Chuck Norris said, quote, "You've got to see what it is you want to achieve before you can pursue it." Logical. It's a goal. But you have to be able to see it. It has to be tangible. And the closer it is to tangibility, where you can see it, smell it, taste it, touch it. I mean, like that $10 million check Jim Carrey wrote himself. You think he carried that around, kept it somewhere where he could see it? It's just a constant reminder of what he was going to do. And he made it happen. The whole laws of the universe just revolve around this stuff. If you believe, you receive. But so many of us have been poorly trained or mistrained, or we've been hurt in life. And so then it's hard to see past the negative. But we can do it. I'm going to get to a verse in a little bit that'll blow your mind. Here's another one. Oh, the last one I'm going to share really is Oprah Winfrey exclaimed, "The big secret in life is that there is no big secret. Whatever your goal, you can get there if you're willing to work." And that's what a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to put in the effort. And the starting effort, what we're talking about today, is just simply being able to clearly visualize what you really want and then maintain that vision every day, every day, every day, all day, every day. And the key to our success is to clearly visualize our intended goal. And as Jim Carrey and Oprah implied, put down the sandwich and get busy making things happen. When you add that to the fact that God has already supplied all our need, failure is impossible. Failure is impossible. Quote, "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I am possible. I am Possible. I'm possible." Audrey Hepburn. See, if it works for them, it'll work for us. If they can visualize and reach their dreams, can we? Yes. Why not? What are we waiting for? It's just the world's trained us different. Our mind is so full of so many thoughts, it's hard to focus. Or we revert back to that old negative way of thinking about ourselves. See, visualize your life the way God sees it. Jesus Christ mastered the art of visualization. He visualized it, acted on it, and it happened. Each time, every time. In fact, in response to Peter pointing out that the recently deceased fig tree, most of you know that story, that Jesus said the day before would never produce fruit, Peter walked by it the next day and said, "It's dead, Master." And Jesus tells Peter and the apostles to have the faith of God. Young's literal translation. Some say have the believing of God. Have the conviction of God. Have the visualization of God. That's how Jesus lived. That's why he was such a huge success. He is the most talked about person in the world and has been for better part of 2,000 years. How big is the believing, the vision, the conviction of God? How big is it? How big do you have to believe to create a universe? To make a heartbeat? for 100 years. To breathe while we sleep. For a bird to fly, 40,000 miles in a year. The Arctic terns. How big? To make a tree grow. That's our God, who promises to supply all our need. An atmosphere that keeps us in good temperature. And the right amount of oxygen, the right amount of water. We're totally set up to succeed. See, we're instructed to have the believing of God. What does that mean? See, God sees what will be as if it already happened. That's visualization. 10 million bucks. If you want 10 million, are you really willing to put forth the energy to go out and get it? It's a lot of work. A lot of work. So if God sees what will be as if it already happened, we can too. We should too. Isaiah 57:15. For thus saith the high and lofty one that inhabiteth eternity. Talking about God. God permanently resides in every time period at the same time. He's already lived your future. He's already lived your future. You think he can give you a few pointers what'll help you out in your life? Just think of it. Do you think he already knows what's best? He's already lived your future. He's lived your past with you. He can point you in the right direction. You think he can direct you to your prize? Yes. That's what he expects us to visualize about ourselves. We should be able to clearly see what we want, that prize, that promise. It should be so clear, it's as if we have it right now. 2 Peter 3:8 from the Voice says, don't imagine, dear friends, that God's timetable is the same as ours. As the Psalm says, for with the Lord 1 day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like 1 day. Imagine if you had 1,000 years to get this day right, to get that decision right. You think God can help you? Imagine if you had 1,000 years to work on one problem. God does. But we have to believe that. And most just aren't willing to put that mental time in there. It's just that total focused visualization of your goal, of the promise that God gave you. It has to work. Failure is impossible. See, he has all the time in the world to acquire your desire. God lives in the present as well as the future. And we too can fully expect what we want from our future to be available right now. Or in the near future. Might take a little bit of time. Everything's not an instantaneous miracle. Took him 7 years to get that 10 million bucks. See, the word faith in the following two verses means to have a full conviction, an absolute focus, an uncluttered believing. Hebrews 11:3. This is all building towards something here. It's just to set our minds so that, every day, day after day, moment after moment for what we want. And we will begin to get it. Hebrews 11:3. Through faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that the things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. See, herein lies the key. What we visualize must absolutely appear. The faith of God. That's what Jesus told his apostles to have. Have the faith of God. Have the mindset of God. That's crazy talk. but it must be available. Now, verse 6 of Hebrews 11, but without faith it's impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Isn't that an answer to that first question the devil asked Eve? Do you really believe this God stuff? Do you really believe this God stuff? And here he says, for he that cometh to God must believe that he is. That's the first step that we talked about last week. It's the first step. Do we believe this God stuff? And do we believe that he really is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him? That's visualization. How do you diligently seek God? You drive around the world looking for a guy with the longest beard? What is it? The guy with the biggest Christian hairdo? What is it? The shiniest suit? The biggest church? What is it? The loudest radio talk program? How do we seek God? How do we diligently seek him? We do that with that thought process. It's every day. We're seeking him. We're seeking the things that we want from him with visualization. This faith or believing or this total focus, this is what pleases God. You want to please God? Believe, focus, visualize, never back down, never get out of focus on your goals. That's what pleases God. Remember I told you about the word sin? Means all it means is missing the mark. That's all it means. You did not get what was really expected of you. It's sort of a positive slant. A sin is nothing more than, I could have had this, but I chose this. You just missed the mark. You missed it. You missed your opportunity to believe for something fantastic. Because I decided to take that path. That's all it is. It's just missing what God wants for us. That's a sin. That's a sin in life. This visualization is a positive, unchangeable mental image, and that's what pleases God. It's like tattooed to your eyeballs. It can't go anywhere. See, God set up the entire universe to supply even our smallest or our largest needs and wants. God rewards our mindset of extreme visualization. He rewards it. He's happy with it. When we receive what we visualize, it makes God happy. Can it be any clearer? We can get what we expect. What you see is what you get. What are you focusing on, folks? What are you really focusing on in your life? How much money you don't have? We didn't really want a response in the audience there, but it's easy to do. So now I'm gonna read a verse, and this is where believing unblinds the mind, and this is where we're going to see what the world has done to us. It's a common verse. See, what we believe, what we truly expect, what we have full conviction for, that we will receive. Failure is impossible. We will obtain. And in 2 Corinthians 4:4, it says, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. He's trained the world to be God blind. First question, do you really believe this stuff? For some people, it just seems too good to be true. The goodness of God, the greatness of what's available. But people all around the world, they figure it out because it's already been supplied. See, the world's designed to clutter up our thinking so that we can't clearly visualize the good that's already promised us. We won't receive what we can't see. We don't hang our life on unclear visions. We fully focus and head in that direction. Sometimes it's fun to wander when you have nothing to do, but typically we don't ever want our mind to wander far from what we really deserve or should have in this life. See, negative visualization works just as well as its positive brother. And the book of Job is a story of a man who had the uncanny ability to receive exactly what he visualized, good or bad. And Job had believed to become the most prosperous and spiritually influential man in the world at that time. And remember, he was a contemporary, more than likely, with Moses. So much so was he amazing that Moses' first book was written about this amazing man named Job. That was the first book ever written. You think there's got to be lessons in here that we all need? I mean, he was so good at this visualization thing that when he allowed himself to get thought sloppy, he lost his wealth, his health, his family. Job 3, 25 and 26. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. See, fear is little more than a clear and daily visualization of bad stuff happening to you. It's an allowed negative chain of pictures and images. That's all fear is. I'm not talking about fear like somebody walks up behind you and boo, or you're going down a trail and all of a sudden there's a mountain lion. You realize a mountain lion's stalking you. That would cause one's heart to race. Some people, maybe not others. Or you're in a strange city and you hear footsteps and they keep following you around every corner, but you don't really want to turn around and look. We're not talking about that kind of fear. Or your boss calls you into the office in 2 hours. I need to talk to you in a couple of hours at 2:00. You don't want to ask him why. I mean, then it's hard to think about anything else. But the point that what I'm saying is in times like those, we should still be able to focus on what we want. Remember Job? I mean, not Job, Jonah? I mean, Jonah, he was in the belly of a big sea creature. It says that his head was wrapped, his body was wrapped in seaweed. The thing was diving down to crush depth. In fact, it says that it was crushing him. As the rib cages collapse on this animal, he was getting crushed inside. And then he said, I will look again towards your holy temple. I mean, he could see himself out of there. That's visualization. And he got delivered. He died. And he got raised from the dead 3 days later and 3 nights. Just like Jesus Christ did. He was a Christ type. I mean, but it's visualization, folks. In the worst, it can't be any worse than being seaweed encrusted, getting crushed, the breath squeezed out of you, and go, okay, well, I'm looking forward to finishing my job and doing some things, So, which I greatly feared has come upon me, and that which I was afraid of has come unto me. He clearly pictured horrible things happening. Now, we already know, I told you, he was one of the most successful people in the East at that time. And he was an influential man of God as well. He was an incredible guy, incredible businessman, the best in the world. He pictured incredible riches, But he got sloppy, and he allowed that same incredible vision ability to take everything from him. Verse 26, I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet, yet trouble came. See, 3 words should pop out to you here: not, neither, and neither. You know, they're all the same Hebrew word, and they all mean the same thing. Each of those words point to another word. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, and neither was I quiet. That's why trouble came. They're going to help us understand the path to failure. And so not in safety means I don't feel safe. I don't feel secure. I don't feel tranquil. Ever felt like that? The positive is I am safe. I am well cared for. God promised it. How about neither had rest? I didn't have any rest. My mind is not settled. I don't have a quiet mind. It's just, boom, it's just spinning. I can't even sleep at night. I can't stop thinking about the negatives. It's hard for me to picture anything besides the bad stuff that's going on. That's neither had I rest. On the positive, my mind is peaceful and my mind is at rest. You're going to tell yourself one or the other. And the third one, neither had quiet. I'm not settled. I can't focus. My mind keeps refocusing the positive back to the negative, and I don't want that. But I can't help it. You can help it. You know, positive is, my mind is so totally focused on the positives that I'm going to have them pretty soon. They're mine. See the two sides to that? You have to feel safe. You have to feel cared for. We have to be at rest, not letting our mind just spin. Had to have quiet. We have to be able to focus. A quiet mind. See, trouble came. Trouble always follows a poorly focused mind. If you keep having trouble in your life, it's probably because of a poor focus. We've been blinded. God blinded. Like it said in 2 Corinthians. See, peace is paramount. Peace. My peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Neither let your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. See, Jesus taught this stuff over and over again. See, if we're going to visualize our promised success, we must learn to be at peace. We have to practice being peaceful, even when all hell is breaking loose around us. Aren't those the people we like to watch in movies, like James Bond? You know, no matter what happens, he's cool, right? You know? I mean, all hell's breaking loose. Trains are flying off the tracks. You know, he's on a motorcycle on top. You know, whatever it is, bombs going, machine guns shooting. He's just cool. He knows he's going to accomplish his task. It's sort of the same mindset I'm talking about here. And most of us, it's difficult to do that when the real pressure's on or internal turmoil. See, remember Psalm 23? Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Though I walk through, like I talked about before, it's that light. I'm getting through this. My goal is at the other side of this. I may be in a deadly valley, but I am getting through this. What did somebody say back in World War II? If you're going through hell, keep going. If you're going through hell, keep going. Just keep moving, keep heading toward that light. See, never lose focus on our ultimate goal. Here's a quote: learning how to be still, to really be still and let life happen, that stillness becomes a radiance. Morgan Freeman. You know, People don't take quotes from unsuccessful people. You know, I mean, I wouldn't have read a whole list of unsuccessful people because there's so many of them. Because we've just allowed ourselves to be mistrained by the world. These people, whether they did it for good reasons or not, they still focused and they could totally picture success. Like them or love them, those names I read before, they're still successful. And the same principles work from Lady Gaga to Arnold Schwarzenegger to Chuck Norris. Doesn't matter. Job had it all. He had it all. Then he lost it all. And then he retooled his thought process and finally tuned his visualization to an even higher level. And in a few short years, Job ended up with twice as much as he had the first time. And I'll bet he was twice as good a minister as well, or counselor, a man of God, or whatever the heck you want to call it. See, the same's available for us. See, retool your visualization. Retool it. Rebuild it. If you're lacking in any area, retool it. Rebuild it. Take a look at that negative, at that fear base that we've allowed to build up in our life. It's no fun, but take a look at it. Why do I keep focusing on this junk? Why do I put myself down? Why do I think this is good enough when clearly it is not? No matter how bad we've made things for ourselves because of improperly focused visualization, we can get our life's vision back. We can get the proper path we're supposed to go on back. And I'm going to prove that here. And this is from the book of Joel. And you've heard this before, but it may have been a while. This is amazing. Joel 2, we're going to read 23 through 25. Then we're going to read 28 and 29. And this is from the Voice. People of Zion, shout with joy and happiness in the eternal your God. The drought is over. He has sent the early autumn rain as a sign of his faithfulness. He has poured down heavy rain, autumn and spring as before. The threshing floors will be covered in grain. The vats will spill over with new wine and new oil, fresh oil. The Eternal One, I will compensate you for the years that the locusts have eaten. I'll pay you back for what the devil stole from you. Is that a good promise? God will pay us back for something he didn't even take. God wants to pay us back. Are we going to allow him to? Can you see it? Can you touch it? Can you smell it? Can you feel it? 28. In those days I will pour out my spirit to all humanity. Your children will boldly and prophetically speak the word of God. Your elders will dream dreams. Your young warriors will see visions. No one will be left out. In those days I will offer my spirit to all servants, both male and female. This is also quoted in the New Testament. This is where it came from. See, the greatest gift we've been given is the ability to tap in spiritually to the Creator. That's our advantage, folks. That's a Christian advantage. You have access, full, unbridled, untethered access to the Father, to the Creator. Failure is impossible. Failure is impossible. See, the story of Job was a great inspiration to the children of Israel who changed from slavery to having to have incredible wealth and health and success. See, this was possible because of Moses' visualization meshed with God's vision of what should be. What about us? All those children of Israel probably knew the story of Job. And for Moses, for that to be the first book he wrote, do you think he talked about that when they were those 40 years in the wilderness? I'll guarantee it. It wasn't just the law in the Ten Commandments. You know, it was this story that everybody, they knew this guy. They've heard of this guy. Just like you've heard of wealthy or influential people. They make an impact. And that's why we use these quotes, because it does something to our heart when we read. We think, gosh, if he can think that, I can think that. And if he can do that, I can do that. You know, it's wild. And so it's just this story helped people go from slavery to incredible abundance. From sickness to incredible health. You know, this is of God's vision of what should be. What about us? Do you really believe that God stuff? Do you really believe that God stuff? You sure? You sure you really believe that God stuff? All those promises? He's going to take care of you. He supplied all your need according to his riches and glory, that you can do exceeding abundantly above all that you ask or think, that he'll withhold not even one good thing from us, that all our needs supplied, that he promised health and prosperity. There's hundreds of them. You can do the same works as Jesus Christ and greater. It's crazy talk. You see, now we're going to look at a modern way that people improve their visualization skills. And this will help you. This isn't scripture now. This is just what successful people have done. And see, there's many ways to improve our success rate by improving our visualization skills. Everybody knows this. Remember, they work for everyone. Every single successful person on earth understands this stuff. Every person on earth who is unsuccessful doesn't. Or they don't hang on to it long enough. When I say the word visualization, I don't mean one mind picture. It's something that can't be taken from you. It's always, always, always there. All day, all night, every day until you get it. See, some people call it prayer. Some call it meditation. Some people call it goals. You know, it could be a picture on a refrigerator, a vision board. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Whatever, you could write yourself a check. I don't care. Do a job application to the job you want. You know you're not ready for it, but why not get started? Why not? Athletes from all across the country come to Colorado Springs to hone their skills. And they bring in experts of every kind to give them the edge. And I once read an article entitled The Psychology of Success. And it stated that, quote, studies of Olympic athletes from many countries found that the best performers practice visualization. And that visualization was the only common denominator between them. See, the only thing that every Olympian does, no matter the sport, is not diet, not exercise, not coaching. It is that they all visualize success. You can really see it with the gymnasts and the divers. You know, they'll be standing there with their eyes closed right before their routine, and you see them moving, you know. They're just going through all these little gyrations. In their mind, they're going through that whole routine. They're practicing it here before they actually bring it to pass. They're visualizing it, a perfect routine. Perfect 10. And so they visualize success. It works just the same for us. Just like those Olympians, we too have to be able to clearly and colorfully and consistently visualize our success. Can you see it? You know, This Dr. Gail Davis, I met this person. She wrote a book. She lives here in Colorado Springs. She wrote a book called High Performance Thinking, and she uses an example of visualization, something that her or one of her colleagues did. And she talked about a basketball team that was split into 3 groups. And one group would practice free throws for, let's say, 30 minutes a day for 21 days. And the second group, they visualized themselves shooting those free throws for 30 minutes a day for 21 days, but they didn't practice it. They didn't throw any. And the third group was do nothing. Don't practice, don't think about it. And all the players were tested on day 1 and again on day 21 by this group. Now, group 1, the one that practiced free throws every day, they improved by 24%. That's amazing. Group 2, the ones that only visualized throwing the free throws, but they didn't practice, they still improved 23%. Group 3, the ones who did nothing different showed no improvement. So, for the next month, the next 21 days, follow her. If you spend 30 minutes a day just thinking about what you want, I'll bet your life will be different in 21 days. If it works for an athlete, it'll work for you. Most of us can't stay our mind for 30 minutes. Life's too busy to take out 30 more minutes of your day. Maybe it's time we give it a try. Jesus got up early in the morning to go off and pray. Prayer is nothing more than a meditation. Prayer isn't for God. He already knows what you need. Who does prayer really benefit? Us. It's us. God already knows we need it. He just wants us to ask. He wants us to focus on that goal, that person, that situation. Mark Twain said the secret of getting ahead is getting started. Just get started. Try it. Try it. Half an hour a day, 21 days. See what'll happen with you. If you can't do 30 minutes, go 5. I don't care. If that's more doable, then focus yourself for 5 minutes. Maybe in 21 days you can go 10. But I guarantee it's that focused mind that's going to get you what you want. Quote, good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion. Jack Welch. Quote, everything you want is out there waiting for you to ask. Everything you want also wants you. But you have to take action to get it. Jules Renault. Everything you want out there wants you too. Isn't that wild? Riches want to hop into your pocket, but we have to go out there and get it. See, visualization is simply a mental rehearsal for the real show. The show must go on. The show's going to go on. What are we practicing in our mind? That's the show we're going to see. You design images in your mind of already having or doing whatever it is we want. We repeat these images over and over and over again until they become a part of us. That's visualization. The key to remember when visualizing is to always visualize that you already have the thing that you want. It's not maybe. It's not someday. It's not I hope. I'd kind of like it, God. I got it. Failure is impossible. You have to feel it as if it's happening to you right now. I suggest you practice this technique every day. Use your imagination to see yourself being successful, making the money, having the special relationship, being healed of that illness. Whatever your goal is that you wish to master, that you wish to manifest, Hang on to that. Go through that valley. Because what we're doing isn't necessarily working, folks. Remember, the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. Just the information you put in there. Your subconscious will act upon the images you design within it, regardless of whether those images reflect your current reality or not. See, visualization has always worked, will always work, and is at work within you right this very second. While I've been talking, things have been going through your heads. You know, it's our choice if it's positive or if it's negative. The outcome is our choice. And let's train ourselves to maintain a positive visualization of ourselves, of others, and of the things that we believe we deserve. Remember, God says He will give us back the years the locust took. And as we maintain that clear visualization, we will begin to see who we were designed to be. Visualize the true you. God bless.